I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board. I'd like to note for the record that all four board members are present. So as we get started, I'd like to call for any public input for items that are not on our agenda. And don't see anybody who's wishing to express anything. So let's move on. Item number 3, which would be approval of minutes for January 12th, 2021. Only I think it's supposed to be 2022 meeting.
I'll move approval with the correction of the year to 2022. Sorry, I had to have fun with that.
Thank you, Ms. Jones, for your second. Is there any discussion or corrections to the minutes?
Just a thank you with putting them together.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Is there any public comment on the minutes? Do we take public comment on the minutes?
No, not typically.
Okay, thanks. Okay, then there's no discussion. Ms. Latonia, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Jones?
Yes.
Thomas?
I'm going to abstain since I missed the meeting.
Enright Randolph?
Yes.
Githens?
Yes. That motion passes 3-0 with 1 abstention. Next on the agenda is stormwater expenditure reports for January of 2022. Ms. Latonia, would you like to take us through that?
All right. Before I go into this really quickly, I would like to introduce our MS4 assistant, Adam Rickert. So is that okay if I do this now?
Yeah, I had it on my list of things to do too, so good, go ahead.
Okay. So Adam started with us at the end of last year, filling the MS4 assistant role. And I drew him right into a few big projects, and really happy so far that we have him here with his experience. So he's on. Adam, I'll let you fully introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. As Kelsey mentioned, I started in December of 2021. I previously worked for the Marion County Public Health Department. At the Marion County Health Department, they have a established stormwater and hazardous materials management department. And I worked there 25 years doing water quality improvements, everything from septic system, maintenance and design to collecting routine water samples to just making sure that the watershed as a whole fulfilled, what the community had in mind. And I also have experience with the MS4 permit at the city of Indianapolis that they maintain. So I supported that permit through understanding where the infrastructure was, documenting the infrastructure, and any complaints that came in that pertain to illicit discharges or investigations that would threaten water quality and the permit in of itself. So I'm really pleased to be here with the Monroe County Highway Department. It's a really wonderful team, and I'm looking forward to all the upcoming projects and tasks that are at hand.
Adam, welcome, and we're very pleased to have you here. And you're going to be just thrown into all kinds of things here, and glad that you're also willing to take on something brand new.
Thank you.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like you're very well qualified, and we are very pleased to have you on board. We do need the extra help.
Tron
I'll
or
say-
Julie?
Well, I've met Adam in a couple other meetings, but I'll join in and say welcome aboard again, and nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Rickard. I look forward to working with you.
Likewise, look forward to working with you.
So maybe at this time, you could also tell us, Miss Tony, I can't do this very well, what the status is of having a new administrative person with you?
Yeah. So we posted the position in January, and we're going through the hiring process. So I don't have an update for you at this meeting, but I should by our March meeting.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So you want to proceed with the budget then?
Yes. Okay, so for our January 2022 expenditure report, labor, and this included our clothing allowance. This is paid out in January and July of each year. We have, what is it, about $1,200 per employee. This is for our crew, including the foreman and the stormwater supervisor positions. So that gets paid out twice per year. And so we have $8,750 budgeted towards that. In the past, we've used just under that based on staffing, as far as we have a full crew or not. But this is a pretty standard to do that in January. Moving down, fleet maintenance, we still had a few large bills at the end of the year for some large equipment repairs, especially our grade all. And then the backfill line is also very large. We had some funds encumbered at the end of last year. Lisa has a note. Total of 1,250 clothing allowance per person. Thank you, Lisa, for that clarification. The backfill line, we had a large project at the end of last year in December at Lake Lemon. So I was notified from the conservancy director at Lake Lemon that they would be drawing down the lake for some maintenance. So we took advantage of the low water levels and went in and did some repairs to South Shore Drive, which is the Lake Lemon Causeway. So we've seen quite a bit of deterioration along South Shore over the years, to the point where we really just repair it when the road fails. We would obviously prefer not to wait until the road fails to do that. So we were able to get ahead and repair a large section of it. And in that process, I applied for permits for South Shore for the next 5 years through IDEM and the Corps of Engineers to cover over 2,000 linear feet of work on that road over the next 5 years. So that way we'll be able to do more regular maintenance of that road instead of having to play defense all the time whenever a section of it starts to fail. So that was a big success, and I'm looking forward to being more proactive on that stretch of road in the future. And bought a few more signs as well at the end of last year. Any questions about the 10s or 20s before I move on? No? Okay. Oh, Julie?
I think that Commissioner Thomas does.
Yeah, actually, I just want to make a comment, and I really just want to say thank you for being proactive on South Shore Drive. I think that's really smart. I've noticed I commute through that area quite often, and I have noticed, you know, the roadway problems, and it's really good that you're staying on top of it. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Yeah, and I also want to thank our crew who did the work, and also Toby and Lisa for working with us on that. Definitely a group effort. So, yeah. All right, moving into the 30s. Main item for on-call construction services is the flaggers. We do have a contract. We've been using them very frequently since we've got that contract with them. It is lower than in previous years, so we're able to save some money, but that is definitely a necessary part of our crew being able to do the work they do, is hiring those flaggers. Disposable fees, this is all going to be for street sweepings. They had some more at the end of the year. We still have quite a bit more of receipts to pay out, so you will see some more lingering from 2021 disposal fees, but that's all the street sweepings. Let's see. The minor charges, summer gas usage, pretty high. Not too far off from what we're used to, but still a little bit high, which means that we're getting work done. Other insurance, this is a large item, I understand, but this is anything pertaining to non-health insurance related things. So this one in particular was for auto insurance. Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong. In the past, MVH would pay a certain amount of this, and this year we decided to update how much Stormwater is paying versus MVH because the Stormwater crew has grown so much. So this more accurately reflects how many vehicles Stormwater actually does have. And so let me know if you have any questions about this item.
I have a couple of, I guess, just questions and thoughts, just with the flaggers, and then
yeah.
I know that those are extremely expensive. It's nicer than kind of the 5,000 a day that the commissioners just had to entertain this morning. But my real question is, do you see kind of maybe in the future more of an extensive collaborative measure with, you know, the highway department and stormwater sharing the flaggers, and maybe even other county offices that could potentially benefit? I'll just say straight up that, you know, anytime I've reached out and asked for some assistance, they've been very gracious and helped me get in the middle of the road to do section corner perpetuation work. So that's really awesome. But I'm kind of curious, you know, how we could extend the costs that we're incurring here, and, you know, and maybe other costs that the county's incurring for flaggers. Because when I know certain sections of the road are being flagged, maybe I could, you know, get in there and see if there's any section corners that could be looked at. Even got some road razors. So if there's like new paving and stuff being done, we could even put a razor on the monument and even it out. Yeah. So that's a real practical use for the surveyor's office, and like extending this collaborative measure. But I'm not sure if there's other areas. And really my target person is Lisa right now, because she deals with a lot more flagging concerns than just what stormwater is. But I just wanted to kind of bring that up. There's not really a question there. And then I guess the question is I know it got real complex with kind of our vehicles and the fleet maintenance and the insurance, and we have one vehicle here. So, you know, I'm really happy that insurance is covered from however the fleet. So I just don't understand how that works. And maybe you could educate me a little bit offline. It doesn't need to be here. I'm just kind of curious. And if this is obviously the direction of the board and what's falling on stormwater to kind of divvy out for their obligation of, you know, the insurance cost for the vehicles, great. I just kind of curious where those changes occurred. And I know it's a lot more complex than just, you know, hey, we're incurring these additional costs. I know that there's a reason behind that. And that's it. Yeah. That's all I have.
Sure.
So Tron, I do want to mention, so you mentioned about the flaggers this morning at the $5,000. That's a unique situation with the railroad. That is, and that is an extremely high price per day, but that is not what we usually fall into. But that the railroads puts that out there. The flaggers that we hire are not to that extent of a cost. I will say that, and utilizing other divisions of the department, we try and do that. We have all of our crew supervisors now meet every morning at 6:30. That is for the 4 of them to discuss what the project is for that day, what the needs are for any crew, whether it be out of highway, stormwater, or our Cume Bridge crew. If you get somebody that calls in sick, if you have somebody that's off on a personal day, so then we will take from different crews to help that crew. So if there's a way that they don't have to rent flaggers, then we use somebody from a different division of the department. So we do utilize that to the best that we can. And it helps having all 4 crew supervisors meet every morning at 6:30 before the crews come in at 7. And as far as the other part for the MVH and the vehicles, so when we took over the MVH and the fleet, we ran across the Indiana code that stated that MVH funds were only allowed to be used for MVH services. So that's why we've gone through the last 2 or 3 years to make these corrections. Now, a lot of the things that are run out of stormwater, out of like the building and everything, we don't charge. I mean, MVH doesn't charge for any building services or anything. Everything's housed out here. So stormwater doesn't incur any of those costs. It's just for like the insurance, since the fleet has grown, then we just make sure insurance is billing the appropriate division for the appropriate budget. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Especially, I knew you were doing some work behind the scenes with the flaggers. I already knew that. So I just know the cost. I've looked at them, and thanks for clarifying the difference as far as what your expenditures are. I'm sure that caught everyone's attention. So it was a great time to bring it up.
Yeah. And feel free if you ever want to know where we're paving, or we try and actually, when we pave anymore, is close the actual road. We don't want to use flaggers. We don't want cars in the area. So if you want to work with us on what our paving program is, that'd be great.
Oh, we do. And we've been alerted a couple of times when monuments might be in the proximity. It's just, just kind of sharing my thoughts with how maybe we could, utilize the flaggers to the max. And thanks for the insurance. There's a lot of complexity in there. So I'm just going to leave that subject alone a bit. So thanks.
And we do send out our road closings on Thursdays. So Tron, if you get those and see if there's an area that you are particularly interested in, feel free to contact me or whoever, and I can get you connected to the crews. All right. Okay, so for large contracts at the bottom, no movement on Baby Creek right now. Stipp Road, Morris Creek, we have had a few meetings in the past couple of months. Mostly regarding the easements with the Corps of Engineers and finishing up the environmental assessment. We are very, very close to finishing the environmental assessment for this project. I haven't received confirmation that we have all the signatures, but it's very close. But then also after we do get all the signatures and Corps approval, it's going to have to go out for another public notice, and they have like a waiting period. So still, we aren't able to begin the project yet, but it is definitely moving closer. We've had several meetings with the Corps of Engineers. One of the items that is slowing this project down right now is the permanent easements for this project, because as you know, the Corps of Engineers owns all of the land around the lake, but there's no dedicated right-of-way for the roads themselves. So our consultant is having to put together some packages with information on the right-of-way that the county would like to have along Stipp Road and Morris Creek. We're asking for permanent right-of-way. 90 feet is what Paul's requested to be in line with our plan. So we'll see if they accept that or not. We might be able to decrease it a little bit. But we need to make sure that any future maintenance on that road, including the culverts, shoulders and things, is going to be covered in an easement. If we go outside of that easement, then it'll require another EA or other NEPA work. So we're trying to do our due diligence and do it right the first time so we don't have to go back again. And it's just unfortunately taking quite a bit of time to work with the Corps on that. So because of that timeline, we're looking at potential tree clearing during the next bat window, next fall. We just don't think we're going to be able to fit it in this spring. So we'll have a little bit of time. I would like to talk to you about the tree removal in that area and potential planting plan. Since no mitigation was required for the tree removal, we would still like to put a little bit of extra money towards a good replanting plan so that it's not too much of a surprise for folks when we have to remove quite a bit of trees. And I have talked to Maggie at Friends of Lake Monroe. She's pointing me to some other folks, the Corps of Engineers, to talk to about what it's going to look like when it's finished, and picking some good suitable tree species for the habitat in the area. So, all right, any questions on those projects?
No, but it sounds again like you're doing advanced planning for a lot of things, which is very, very good in terms of the easements and tree planting. And I can see Commissioner Jones smiling as you're talking about planting new trees.
Yeah. There wasn't anything required. It's kind of blew my mind when I saw that. We didn't require any mitigation for, you know, that habitat, floodplain, like none of it. So. But we're gonna plant some trees still, so we get to at least choose where we plant. But I haven't actually determined the cost of that. I'm working with a consultant on the species and everything. So, cool. Thanks.
So,
Okay.
do I have a motion to accept the expenditure report? Do we do that?
No motion needed.
Okay. All right. Good. Less to do. All right. So would you go on to new business, item A?
This one, I didn't mark it on the agenda, I apologize, but I would like an approval from the board on this item. So this is the on-call contract for plan review services with Terry Quillman. We initially put an end date on the scope for this contract of through 2021, mostly because it was new for us, and I think the board wanted to see how things were working. I will say that this contract has been a lifesaver for me. It has been really, really useful to have Terry on hand to do plan reviews for us. We've had some very complicated projects the past year that he has spent a lot of time on, and it is very worth it to have someone else have eyes on these projects. For example, Westgate on 3rd with the huge compound sinkhole and other downstream flooding issues. He spent over 20 hours on that review. Hayden Flats project off of South Rogers Street is another large multifamily development going in. That one had extensive hydraulic modeling for a 22-foot wide box culvert to convey the drainage that goes through that site. Again, another 20-something hour review from him. Those two projects just stand out to me because they required more technical review that which is very thankful he was able to put the time into that. So I'm asking for us to renew this contract with Terry. I've had Dave review this, he had no comment. Terry reviewed it, he had no comment. So I did not change any of the language from last year. So.
Does that mean that there's a deadline for this too that you were just referring to?
I did put in the scope to have this extend through the end of 2022 to mirror last year's contract. If you want to extend it more than that, that's fine, but I just thought it'd be from year to year, we can reassess.
Yeah, I support that if that's your course of action. I guess the one thing I have is I'm kind of a data person, and I think you did a great job of kind of hitting some of the highlights. It'd be interesting just kind of how this service agreement is being utilized, like, tracking just a bit to kind of see how much we ended up paying out for this service and how many different projects that they reviewed. And then also I remember, and we never moved forward, of having kind of another consultant in our back pocket. I think that is still something we should entertain. Oh, we do? Okay. I wasn't sure if we ever got that fully approved with the Christopher Burke.
Yep.
Oh, we did. Okay.
We do have a contract. Yep. I did. Yep. We do have a contract with Christopher Burke Engineering. It's a little bit more expensive of a rate, but that one we would have a professional engineer if we needed someone like that to review a project. I talked to Christopher Burke Engineering and let them know that one's kind of like our backup. Like if Terry, for whatever reason, can't review a project, has too much going on, I do have that backup contract with them. I've been in touch with them just recently, just to make sure that they're okay extending their contract through 2022. We didn't put a time limit on it, and he said yes, it's active. Like we're happy to keep serving us through the end of the year. So.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just wanted that contingency plan just in case. It's always nice to have some redundancy there. And I think this has worked out very well, and I understand kind of the workload a bit, more with some of my other various tasks. So I'm very happy to support this, and
Great.
ready to make a motion if none of my other colleagues. Oh, I guess we go public and stuff. So whenever we're ready, I'll jump in.
No, you can make a motion and we can continue to discuss this. That's fine.
Oh, okay. So, and then it goes to, okay, perfect. So we move to approve it, another discussion, then public comment. All right. I'm just thinking out loud. So I would like to move to approve the renewal of the on-call contract for planning review services with Terry Quillman.
Second,
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Yes, Ms. Bridge.
I just wanted to add, Kelsey does a great job of reaching out and using our in-house engineer, Paul Satterley, at any time that we can. So this is kind of like a backup to that, but we do use Paul on a regular basis for a lot of information as on being a certified engineer.
Great. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
I guess just a thank you. You know, most people, when they go retirement, they like to stay in retirement. So I'm sure this is mutually beneficial for both parties, but, you know, I appreciate his willingness to continue to help serve Monroe County.
Yep.
Is there any public comment on this item? If so, would you please raise your hand, and you would have 3 minutes maximum. Not seeing any public comment or wish to comment. So Ms. Titonia, would you please call the roll on this item?
Sure. Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Jones,
yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now move on to the drainage improvements at South Birch Road, West Hines Road, and West State Route
Yeah.
45.
Yeah, this one I am not asking for any action today, just more of a heads up that I am looking into this, and it may come up at next month's board meeting. So this is something that Tara and I had discussed last winter. It's been an ongoing issue of ice at this intersection for quite some time. So I know, I think it was last year, we did have some discussion with NDOT, and they were going to do some improvements at this intersection. But because this pond at the fire station has gone in, we do have now like an extra issue happening here. So I wanted to have an engineer on board to help us coordinate with NDOT. I'm hoping that once we start these conversations, NDOT will be able to do some part of the work since it is their intersection, and then we can handle any additional issues that are coming from you know, the county, particularly along Birch Road here. It may, I don't know, so it may not amount to much that the county has to do, but you know, I wanted to make sure that I hired someone so that we do have these discussions that NDOT knows that we are wanting to cooperate and help with this. Does anyone have any questions?
I guess, how much discussion have we had with NDOT, except for kind of alerting them that we want to get this project fixed?
It was mostly Toby had talked with them last year before we paved Hines Road, about the time when the fire station was going in. All I know that he said that they were planning on putting a pipe under Hines Road. It never happened. Toby let them know that we were paving the road, but he hasn't heard anything from them since. So the main part of this is just coordinating with them so that we can take care of the issues we have on our end. We can coordinate their work on this intersection, hopefully at the same time to, yeah. Regardless if we're going to fix anything on the county end, we're going to need their permission anyway, since everything drains into this intersection.
And I would assume we're talking with the Stormwater division of NDOT, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, still preliminary. Hopefully I'll have more information for you next time. So.
I can tell you're not bored with what's going on, Ms. Titonia, that you always have something.
Always something. And I know we have, you know, a lot of complaints about ice in the winter. The highway crews go out and will put sand and salt down for safety. But I see it, you know, our stormwater crew has been working on doing some of the smaller fixes that they can, you know, pending weather. But then things like this do come up where it's going to require a bigger project to fix it. It's just part of it. So I have a few other things on my mind that would require some contracting. But I'll get to them as I can.
Great.
All right.
Okay, shall we move on to staff reports? Ms. Ridge?
I'm good. I don't think I have anything.
I'd just like to keep you on the agenda, Lisa, just in case. All
Ms.
right.
Titonia, do you have anything else?
I have just a couple things to update you on. Coming up within the next month or so, we've been talking, Toby and I and Jason and Lisa, about a contract for hydro seeding. We have an issue with some of the ditching work, especially you know, not in prime growing season, where it's just really hard to stabilize the road shoulders after they've been ditched. And particularly in front of people's houses in more residential areas, the ditching work is just inherently kind of messy. And Toby had the idea to hire someone for hydro seeding, where we could just call them after we completed a section of ditching on a road and have them follow us, be able to hydro seed the area to just get something down that will hopefully stabilize it sooner, and would also reduce the crew's time and the cost of having to lay erosion control blankets by hand. You know, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. The ditches are just difficult to, you know, reestablish any vegetation there. But so that's something we're looking at. Jason spent quite a bit of time looking into various companies, getting quotes, figuring out, you know, if we should contract it out, if we should rent the equipment, do it ourselves. I've decided to, you know, pursue a contract at first, and so I'll be putting that together within the next month or so. I also want to give Jason and the crew a lot of kudos for the work they're doing. I'm hoping in the future I can give you some more reports on the work that they do. I was hoping to do more today, but with the closure last week and a number of things happening this week, I don't have a full like presentation for you with more data, but I'll get there. Like I said, they did the work on South Shore last December. They've been working on ditching, responding to a lot of drainage complaints, ice on the roads, fixing problems, things like that. We have a couple bigger projects for the spring, one of them being a bank stabilization project on Woodland Road. That's on Bean Blossom Creek, where drainage area is like 150 square miles. It's very extensive. So Erica and I were working on the permitting for that because it obviously does not meet the rural exemption if it's over 50 square miles. So DNR is requiring us to get a floodplain permit. So I'm nearing the end of that permitting process, thankfully. And so once we get all the agency approvals, we'll work on that this spring. Some of the other stuff that our staff are working on, myself, Adam, and Erica are going to produce a stormwater drainage conference tomorrow. We hope to gain some more insight into implementation of items, new general permits. So both the MS4 general permit and the construction stormwater general permit have been released, but we're in this weird waiting period where they haven't given us any guidance at all, unfortunately. So the clock hasn't started ticking yet, but it will soon. So there are a number of things we're going to have to do once the general permit is officially, you know, active. One of the big things is updating our water quality characterization report for the MS4 and our stormwater quality management plan, which is like our MS4 implementation. So the water quality characterization report was something that Todd and everyone else had worked on when he first became an MS4. So that was 2005-ish. It hasn't been updated since then. And so the state is now requiring us to provide an update on that. We don't need to collect any new data, but just update it with any water quality data that has come up in the past 15 or so years. So our two graduate CFOs are helping me with that project. So I'm really excited for that. We only have 6 months to do that from when the new general permit was released. So I need to do that this spring. Let's see. I'm also doing the Cartograph administration certification. So hoping to learn a bit more about the workings of Cartograph, our asset management software, and something that, Laura said she had done it a while ago. I'm hoping that we can just get some more information on that and how we can integrate it with our GIS, being able to work with Jared on that. So I'm excited to learn some stuff. With that, we are also going to be hiring stormwater summer interns. We haven't done it in a couple of years, but we will use them to collect information on just our stormwater assets, being able to update Cartograph. There's a lot of gaps in the data or incorrect data, and especially in some of the subdivisions. So we'll use them for inspecting and collecting data on our stormwater infrastructure, doing outfall inspections, and helping us with our pond inventory that Erica talked with you about last month. So those are some of the big things going on. Next month, I have asked Adam to give you a presentation on the 2021 MS4 annual report. Asked him to keep it to about 15, 20 minutes. I know it's a lot of information, but I'm hoping if we can give you some more quarterly reports on these things, that it'll be a little bit easier to manage. So, any questions?
A lot of information. I'm going to send you an email that was distributed by Christopher Burke for the MS4 permit change. I declined to go to the conference you're going. I'm so happy that you will be attending. And then I think I just wanted to plug that I have made some pretty good connections with the stormwater division within DOT. So if I could be helpful, just let Toby know to reach out, and I could kind of try to put him in contact with some of my contacts. So I've met him through a lot of different various agencies throughout the state. So just wanted to make sure I made that available. So
I'll contact you for that. Thanks.
Right. Do any of the board members have any closing thoughts they'd like to share?
I can't believe it's February 2022.
Okay, well, with that, we will adjourn the meeting, and we will see you all on Wednesday, March the 9th at 3 o'clock. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.